Live? Start?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read God's grandeur. The world is charged with grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil, crushed. Why do men then now not rack his rod? Generations have trod, have trod, have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil. And wears man's smudge and shares man's smell. The soil is bare now, nor can food fill, being shod. And for all these, nature is never spent. There lives the clearest, the dearest freshness deep down things. And though the last lights of the black west went, O morning at the brown brink eastward springs, because the Holy Ghost of the band world broods with warm breast and with our bright wings. And that was it. So that was God's grandeur. What similes and metaphors are in these poems, and how important are they to the poem's message? So the sim. You guys want me to start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the simile that I saw was in line 2. I didn't come up with these similes by myself. I actually researched these similes out, so this is not my answer exactly. So the simile that I saw was in line 2 and in line 3. So in line 2, it had said, "It will flame out like a shining from a shook foil." Um, uh, is that the line 2? Sorry, just a sec.
Yes.
Yeah, it will flame out like a shining from shook foil. So, um, the world is. This is actually copy and paste. The world is so full of God's electricity that it will spark, flame out on contact. Um, so yeah, um, the reason Hopkins used this simile in line 2 was because of the grandeur of God. Like God created everything, and God created the world, and He in connection with the metaphysical world being charged in the way in which none can be imaged. I don't know how to describe it. It's so hard. Hopkins uses simile and okay, whatever. So
Yeah.
in line 3, he had also that's another simile, and it had said it gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil. Um, the ooze of oil. So that's a simile also, and greatness is like an abstract idea, and the ooze of oil, the oil is like concrete, something that we can picture. Um, the image of oil brings an image of greatness and also the most valued resource on earth that was created by God. So, like, you know how oil is one of those natural resources that um, a lot of people use nowadays, and how if if a lot of people, so I searched about oil, and like oil is like it's one of those things that everyone needs, and if people keep digging for oil and stuff, like it's gonna affect the earth, but I don't know. um will be crushed if we take them. Oh, oil is a natural valued resource, thus the world would be crushed if we take too much oil from it. That's what I got from one of the websites in the internet. um yep, that's all I can say about God's grandeur. I'm not really good at reading poems or anything, so continue to whoever is much more, if you guys know more about this poem.
Yeah, so for me, I like the metaphor in line 4. So it's the question, the only question we read in that poem. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? So it's just, this is like a follow-up question on what everything that you said, Yannick, all right? Because like this question is related to the the message of the poem. Because the title is God's Grandeur, and that tells about the message, which is, I believe this poem is about like uh, describing God's grandeur in a very like poetic way, and I like every example that we read in this poem. And so, and that question, for example, why do men then now not wreck his rod? So wreck it means to pay heed to something, like to pay attention, for example. And his rod, so the rod, that's what made me think of Lehi's vision, which is, in the Book of Mormon. And the rod is compared to uh, the Word of God. And so in this poem, I don't know if it's also related to the Word of God, but I think by reading all the poem, I think the rod is related to maybe to just yeah, like maybe the same thing, but like why do not men worship God? Why do they not just admit that there is a God, and that he's all powerful? He can do all things because he created the earth and us. And yeah, that's the metaphor I wanted to share.
You. So my thing was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line 7, where it talks about it's talking about either the world or all that is mentioned in line 6. Um, but whatever it is, it wears man's smudge and shares man's smell, the soil. And I know the soil is referencing to the last sentence, but I think it's there not only because it rhymes with the other oils, but also because it's comparing um, the world or generations and man's existence to soil. And the smudge is like the stain that soil leaves, and the smell is from the stain that soil leaves. And and I like it because I feel like men and the world likes to brag about um, being part of humankind, or like humans would brag about being human instead of being recognized as kinship with God. And in the Bible they reference uh, man from of being like of the dirt, or from the dirt, or from the dust. And it's cool how, following up on Manu's thing, men don't recognize his rod, the power of God, but they're quick to brag about being uh, the dirt that we are. That was my thoughts. So we're good with God's grandeur.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next poem.
All right, shall we jump to the long one? Okay, I will read that. Okay.
Is that Fernhill?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I try to read fast. Now, as I was young and easy under the apple boughs, about the lilting house and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle starry, time let me halt and climb, golden in the heydays of his eyes. and honored among wagons. I was prince of the apple towns, and once below a time I lordly had the trees and leaves, trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. And as I was green and carefree, famous among the barns, about the happy yard and singing as the farm was home, in the sun that is young once only, time let me play and be golden in the mercy of his means, and green and golden I was huntsman and herdsman. The calves sang to my horn, the foxes on the hills barked clear and cold, and the Sabbath rang slowly in the pebbles of the holy streams. All the sun long it was running, it was lovely, the hay, fields high as a house, the tunes from the chimneys, it was air, and playing lovely and watery, and fire green as grass, and nightly under the simple stars, as I rode to sleep the owls were bearing the farm away. All the moon long I heard, blessed among stables, the night jars flying with the ricks and the horses flashing into the dark, and then to awake and the farm, like a wanderer white, with the dew come back, the cock on his shoulder. It was all shining, it was Adam and maiden. The sky gathered again, and the sun grew round that very day. So it must have been after the birth of the simple light. In the first spinning place, the spell-bound horses, walking warm, out of the whining green stable onto the fields of praise, and honored among foxes and pheasants by the gay house, under the new-made clouds, and happy as the heart was long. In the sun born over and over, I ran my heedless ways, my wishes raised through the house his high hay, and nothing I cared at my sky-blue traits, that time allows, in all his tuneful turning, so few and such morning songs, before the children green and golden follow him out of grace. Nothing I cared in the lamb-white days, that time would take me up to the swallow-thronged loft by the shadow of my hand, in the moon that is always rising. Not that riding to sleep, I should hear him fly with the high fields, and wake to the farm forever fled from the childless land. Oh, as I was young and easy in the mercy of his means, time held me green and dying, though I sang in my chains like the sea.
Wow, what a nice poem.
Thank you. Wow. You guys want to comment?
So my favorite simile in here was, it was kind of a joke, but it turned out to be deep as it went down. Was happy as the grass was green, second life. And the reason why I thought that was a simile because it says as, and I like it because it's almost as if the seasons is what's causing this happiness. Like nature is what's causing this happiness. Because grass isn't always green. So
Hello?
sorry about that. No, someone was. So yeah, as happy as the grass was green, and so because the season made the grass really green, nature was making him happy, and also where it says Adam and Maiden, I was thinking of like this nature or his love for nature right now. This like country laid back living was reminding him or making him at least feel like he was in the Garden of Eden and was able to admire like the world before civilization stepped in and made all of its buildings, skyscrapers and stuff. And that was it.
Thank you. I also I had the same, well, kind of same thing. So the tone of the poem was like from happiness and to sad, because the poem was based on like from when he was young, the speaker, like how he had fun when he was young, and then at the very end how it became sad because he couldn't do the things that he used to do when he was young, because then he started to get old, and I bet he started to have pain in his body and stuff. So the simile that I saw was in line 2, happy as the grass was green. Did you say the same thing also?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Happy as the grass was green. So it's pretty straightforward in this line how he talks about when he was young and stuff. And green, it reminds me of like mission, how when we go out into the mission for the first time and we're called greenies because we're new in the mission and we're immature and stuff, so we don't know much about mission and stuff. That's why we have a trainer to train us and stuff. So happy as the grass was green kind of means like he was young, wild, and free. He could do anything, like do somersaults and stuff. Um, and he was happy. Um, yeah, he's comparing happiness to the color of the grass. And the other simile that I saw was in line 22, fire green as grass. So he's using simile also over here to link fire and grass as a symbol for happiness and carefree attitude of youth. Um, as I had said before, green stands for like he's trying to symbolize green as to being free and happy and stuff. To influence the human cycle of life. Yes, that's all I saw in this poem. There's a lot more, but that's the only two things that I'm gonna expound on in this video, in this discussion, because it kind of goes on with the message of the tone about being happy, and then when it comes to the end, he was sad because he was getting old and he couldn't do the things that he used to do. Mahalo.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Hello. Yeah, for me, so like to me, like the tone of the poem, okay, is like it's like he's telling us his dream, right? Because he's telling a lot of things that are not real by using a lot of metaphors, like you guys have said. And I think he makes an allusion with the Garden of Eden, when he says it was Adam and Maiden. So like when I think of the Garden of Eden, it was perfect. Everything was beautiful, green, right? The sky beautiful, and when you read every word he uses, you know, and like animals like the cock, the horses, the lamb, and also the colors he uses green, and the terms like gay house, gay meaning happy, candid, nice, a lot of words that refer to the Garden of Eden, meaning like it was a very happy place, and he talks about wishes. Yeah, and so yeah, I think that's one important part of the whole poem. I think when he uses the comparison with Adam and Maiden. Yeah. That's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start reading Neutral Tones by Thomas Hardy. We stood by a pond that winter day, and the sun was white as though chidden of God, and a few leaves lay on the starving sod. They had fallen from an ash and were gray. Your eyes on me were as eyes that rove, over tedious riddles of years ago, and some words played between us to and fro, on which lost the more by our love. The smile on your mouth was the deadest thing, alive enough to have strength to die, and the grin of bitterness swept thereby like an ominous bird a wing. Since then, keen lessons that love deceives and rings with wrong have shaped to me your face and the god cursed sun and a tree and a pond edged with grayish leaves. Um, does anyone else want to comment first, or if not, I'm gonna go.
You can start.
Okay, so the thing that I liked was alive enough to have strength to die, and the reason why I like that. So she's talking, or he's talking, or whoever the speaker is talking about what I think is like a relationship, and it was dying, and it was taking all of their strength to die. I think they compare it to a season, but they at least compare it to that scene in the winter day, and that's kind of like when things die, and it's a necessary process to keep Earth living is to have this winter season, and it just reminds me like all of that is summed up perfectly. The relationship, winter season, everything um, comes across in that one line: alive enough to have the strength to die, and it gives me it just shows it paints that picture nicely to see like um, what it means to be alive and what it means to die, and that it does take strength to say like goodbye, and they're doing that within this fall, and we do that every time it's the winter season, and we have to say like goodbye to the good weather and hello to like snow, but not here in Hawaii because it's awesome. That's all.
Thank you. Uh, so for me, so the tone was kind of like neutral, and it was kind of bitter and kind of sad also because, yeah, like what you had said, their love had died. It was strong before, but then it died away. So the metaphor that I saw in this poem was um the metaphor of the leaves. Where is it? Oh, I think you also said it. And a pond edged with grayish leaves. So it kind of show how they had like their love became boring and then it just died. Like not and also in stanza 3, um the simile that was the smile on your mouth was the deadest thing, alive enough to have strength to die, and a grin of bitterness swept thereby like an ominous bird a wing. So his smile is kind of likened to a dead thing. Like it wasn't a genuine smile. It was like it was dead. It wasn't like I don't know how to explain. So it kind of symbolizes how their love had become boring and it became meaningless to her. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what you guys said, and so yeah, it's really sad. Like the whole tone, especially like for me, is the second stanza, like the first and second line. Your eyes on me were as eyes that rove. So meaning, although I could tell you were looking at me, but when he says that her eyes were roving, it means They were not really looking into a fixed destination. Like her eyes were traveling. Yeah, it's like you look at me, but you're not really paying attention to what I'm saying, to what I'm doing. And that's just like a sign of uh, maybe boredom, or maybe she was just not interested anymore in him. Yeah, and he could feel it coming. And sorry, and the second line, over tedious, right? So I believe they have been together for over a year, and maybe over 2 years. But they have lots of some questions that were still not answered. And then when you read the rest of until the end of the poem, you can read like a few words like dead. You know, the smile on your mouth was the deadest thing. So just using that word dead, he kind of uses that word twice, right? In one stanza, the third one, deadest, dead, and the second line, to die, die, today. They're both synonyms. So this is really like to emphasize that, yeah, love is dead.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and the simile she gives is still the third stanza, the last line of that stanza, like an ominous bird. All right. So ominous, it is used to give the impression that something bad is going to happen. And usually, I know that in Japanese animes, they use that a lot. The black bird that you see, it can be a sign of uh, a bad misfortune. It can be a sign of accident, someone's gonna die, or someone will get hurt. That's an ominous bird. And so if he puts that in his poem, yeah, so he could feel something dangerous coming, something very painful. And this relates very well to the name of that poem and the message.
I like this poem because it kind of relates to what the, you know, how we always have devotion, and the speakers, they always say to like for example, if you're married, to always take your spouse out like on a
Hmm.
date at least once a month or once a week, because then this is how your love is gonna end up, like it's gonna be dead just like this after how many years together. So
Yeah,
that's true.
I was like, she also could have just died.
Who, her?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
let me see.
that's it.
Why do you say that she could have died?
It was from what Manu said about the ominous bird. So like it could be because I thought it was a breakup the whole time until he said like an ominous bird a wing, and I thought what that meant was like, you know, when a vulture flies, it's cool because it's flying, but it's not cool because it's a vulture and vultures only eat dead things. Um,
mm,
but when you mention like in animes and stuff, it's always like it's to show that something has passed, and it could be just a relationship. But I'm just saying like, oh man, he might it might it might be that someone just died, and that's why he's saying the your face and the god cursed sun and the tree and the pond edged with grayish leaves. I just thought that it might be like the reason why it's kind of mad at the end is because maybe he like what's worse than breaking up when you want to break up is like having to say goodbye when you don't want to say goodbye. I don't know. I wanted to make it sadder. That's why.
Oh, that's a good point also.
Good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good?
Yep.
Okay.